Every journey toward greatness begins in the quiet spaces of daily effort. You may not feel like it, and often no one else will notice, but it is in these unremarkable moments that character is forged. Relentless effort is not the result of motivation alone. It is the deliberate choice to act even when energy is low, when inspiration wanes, when comfort tempts you to pause. This is the essence of mastery, doing what must be done, regardless of circumstance. Understand this first. The world rewards consistency far more than flashes of brilliance. One inspired hour will never outweigh 1,000 hours of steady, focused work. Talent can open doors, but persistence builds the corridors through which success travels. You create momentum not by waiting for motivation to strike, but by showing up again and again in small yet meaningful ways. Each step, however minor it seems, compounds into progress that is undeniable. Relentless effort requires a mindset anchored in purpose. You must clarify why you are doing what you do, for without a clear why, effort becomes a burden and persistence fades. Ask yourself, what is worth my discipline? What am I willing to keep working for, even when it is difficult? The answers form the foundation upon which your resilience rests. Purpose acts as a compass, keeping you aligned with long-term growth, even when immediate results are invisible. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. It transforms fleeting motivation into sustainable action. You may feel inspired one day and drained the next, but discipline ensures that your goals are not hostage to emotion. By building habits that prioritize effort over ease, you create a structure in which success is inevitable. The key is to respect the process. Small, consistent actions practiced daily shape outcomes far beyond what a single burst of energy could achieve. Effort is also an internal measurement. Stop comparing your pace or progress to others. Focus on your work, on your commitment to improving, on the mastery that grows quietly within you. The strongest people are often those whose accomplishments are unseen until they become undeniable. There is power in building quietly, persistently, without seeking applause. This self-driven momentum produces results that speak louder than any external validation ever could. Patience is essential. Relentless effort is a marathon, not a sprint. You will encounter obstacles, setbacks, and periods where progress feels invisible. These moments test your commitment and separate the transient from the enduring. In these times, focus on what you can control, your attitude, your actions, your willingness to continue. Strength grows in response to resistance. Every challenge endured and every small victory claimed reinforces your capacity for sustained effort. You also cultivate resilience through consistency. Each day you choose effort over comfort. You reinforce the belief that you are capable of more than you thought. Even on days when doubt creeps in, when fatigue whispers excuses, the simple act of showing up strengthens your mind. Momentum is cumulative. The effort you invest today multiplies tomorrow, compounding into a rhythm of achievement that eventually becomes unstoppable. Relentless effort requires awareness of priorities. You must learn to distinguish between what is urgent and what is essential. Too often energy is dissipated on distractions, superficial tasks, and fleeting concerns. The master of effort directs focus deliberately, aligning time and energy with actions that produce meaningful results. Each choice becomes a reflection of your commitment, each moment an opportunity to reinforce the foundation you are building. Celebrating small wins is part of the process. Acknowledging progress, no matter how minor, strengthens your motivation and reinforces the habit of effort. Yet, do not mistake recognition for the purpose of your work. Your discipline is for yourself first, for the growth it produces, for the skill it hones, for the resilience it builds. This perspective protects your drive from being swayed by the praise or criticism of others. Finally, remember that relentless effort is a lifestyle, not a phase. It is the daily, deliberate practice of showing up, of giving your best even when it is hard, even when it is unseen. It shapes your identity, not just your result. Over time, the choice to persist becomes instinctive. The habit of effort becomes woven into the fabric of who you are. The foundation you lay now supports every future endeavor, creating a life where achievement is natural, resilience is instinctive, and success is the byproduct of consistent, purposeful action. There is a subtle trap that many walk into without realizing: the desire for approval. It creeps in like a whisper, a quiet suggestion that your value depends on recognition, praise, or admiration. At first it seems harmless, a pat on the back, a compliment, a like on social media. But over time, this need to be seen and validated becomes a chain binding your energy and focus to the opinions of others. You begin to work not for mastery, not for growth, but for acknowledgement. Notice how easily your actions can be swayed. When you seek approval, the question is no longer what will make me better, but what will make others approve of me. You measure success externally, using shifting standards that are never fully within your control. The praise you receive is temporary, inconsistent, and often shallow. What feels like reward in the moment can dissolve quickly, leaving behind frustration, doubt, and restlessness. Breaking free from this chain begins with awareness. You must notice when your choices are influenced by others' expectations rather than your own conviction. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it aligns with my purpose or because I want someone else to nod in approval? This question is simple, but it is transformative. Awareness is the first step toward liberation. Without it, the habit of seeking validation continues unconsciously. Next comes courage. It is uncomfortable to step away from the applause. People may not understand your decisions. They may question why you are not performing in ways that gain recognition. Yet courage is required to prioritize growth over approval, to act according to your own standards rather than someone else's fleeting opinions. It is not arrogance. It is clarity. It is a quiet confidence that your work, your effort, and your discipline are enough, regardless of external acknowledgement. Discipline and consistency reinforce this liberation. When you focus on what you can control, your effort, your practice, your choices, you reclaim your energy from the opinions of others. You stop scattering attention on what others think and redirect it to what truly matters, your skill, your mindset, and your mastery. Over time, the habit of working for yourself strengthens your inner foundation. You begin to feel a quiet power in knowing that progress is measured by personal standards, not applause. Learning to value your own assessment of your work is key. Keep an internal scoreboard. Measure your growth, your effort, your focus. Celebrate small wins quietly, without broadcasting them for validation. Each step forward becomes proof to yourself that you are capable, competent, and resilient. This internal accountability fosters a sense of freedom, a realization that you do not need permission to pursue excellence. Resilience grows when your self-worth is decoupled from others' opinions. Rejection, criticism, or indifference no longer have the power to shake you. You continue unshaken because your motivation comes from within. Each day you show up, act deliberately, and commit to improvement, you strengthen your autonomy. Approval becomes optional, not essential. The chains loosen, replaced by a grounded confidence that no external voice can dismantle. Releasing the need for approval does not make you disconnected from others. It allows you to engage authentically, to act without hidden agendas, and to build relationships from a place of integrity rather than performance. When you are free from the invisible leash of others' expectations, your interactions become richer, your decisions clearer, and your work more aligned with purpose. You begin to thrive not because others notice, but because you are fully present in your own path. Finally, understand that mastery is an inside job. External validation is fleeting, but the results of disciplined effort are lasting. The work you invest, the skills you refine, the challenges you face and overcome, these are your true reward. Every moment you dedicate to your craft, without seeking approval, fortifies your identity as someone who acts with intention, who grows through discipline, and who measures success from within. Breaking free from the chains of approval is a process, not an instant revelation. It begins with awareness, is strengthened by courage, and solidified through discipline. Each day you choose to act for purpose over praise. You reclaim energy, focus, and freedom. You transform from someone who performs for others into someone who masters for themselves, laying the groundwork for a life defined not by applause, but by enduring achievement. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many believe it is a harsh taskmaster, a daily struggle to suppress desire and force oneself into action. But in truth, discipline is not punishment. Discipline is the engine that moves you forward when motivation falters, the silent rhythm beneath all achievement. It is the steady beat that keeps your hands moving, your mind focused, and your heart committed even when excitement fades. Think of discipline like a river carving a canyon. At first, the effort is slow, incremental, almost invisible. Water flows day after day, sometimes with energy, sometimes with barely a ripple. Yet over years, the canyon forms vast, deep, undeniable. Your disciplined actions function the same way. Each repetition, each small commitment accumulate. You may not notice progress hour by hour or even day by day, but over time, the results become unmistakable. Discipline compounds quietly, steadily, and powerfully. The first step in building this engine is consistency. Discipline thrives on repetition. It does not demand perfect performance or constant intensity. What it requires is the choice to show up, to act in alignment with your goals, and to maintain your standards even when motivation dips. Every small action matters. The early rise when your body begs for sleep, the extra set in the gym when fatigue whispers, enough, the deliberate focus on your craft when distractions call. These choices accumulate, building an unshakable rhythm of progress. Next, discipline requires clarity. You cannot follow a path if you do not know where you are headed. Define what matters, identify the actions that align with your purpose, and commit to them. Clarity transforms discipline from blind effort into intentional directed energy. When your actions are rooted in a clear purpose, resistance diminishes. You act not out of obligation, but out of alignment with your values, your vision, and your higher self. Discipline becomes natural because it serves something meaningful, not arbitrary rules. Habits are the vessels of discipline. Your daily routines, the small rituals repeated without thought, carry the weight of your ambitions. When discipline is embedded in habit, it moves from struggle to flow. You do not need to convince yourself to act. The structure of your day carries morning rituals, focused work sessions, planned rest. These are not constraints but accelerators. They allow your energy to be preserved and channeled towards sustained achievement. Over time, disciplined habits form the foundation on which extraordinary results are built. Yet discipline also demands patience. It is not flashy, dramatic, or immediately rewarding. It asks you to trust the process, to invest effort without instant gratification. Here many stumble. Motivation may roar one day and vanish the next, leaving a void of doubt. Discipline fills that void. It is the reliable force that keeps you moving, even when inspiration is absent, even when the world around you seems indifferent to your effort. In this way, discipline becomes more than a tool. It becomes a character trait, a reflection of your inner strength and commitment. Another aspect of discipline is self-respect. When you honor your commitments, even small ones, you reinforce trust in yourself. You no longer need external validation because you have cultivated reliability within. Your word becomes sacred to yourself, and your actions align with your identity. The person you become through disciplined action is far more valuable than any fleeting reward because it is enduring, self-sustaining, and deeply rooted in integrity. Discipline does not eliminate freedom, it multiplies it. Paradoxically, the more you commit to deliberate practice and focused effort, the more control you have over your life. By directing your energy toward purposeful action rather than distraction or indulgence, you expand your capacity for creativity, mastery, and impact. Freedom is the result of disciplined structure, not its opposite. When your habits and choices are aligned, you move through life with momentum and clarity, unshaken by fleeting desires or external pressure. Finally, discipline is contagious within your own mind. Each time you act intentionally, resist comfort, and persist despite difficulty, you reinforce your identity as someone capable of mastery. The more you rely on discipline rather than motivation, the less you are at the mercy of emotions, circumstances, or opinion. Your energy becomes self-sufficient, fueled by purpose and deliberate action. You are unstoppable because your engine is internal, constant, and reliable. Mastering discipline is not a one-time achievement. It is a lifelong practice. It is the quiet rhythm that carries you forward, the steady force beneath all visible success. Each day you commit to your work, your craft, and your vision, without reliance on fleeting excitement. You cultivate the engine that propels you through challenges, distractions, and doubt. Discipline transforms you into someone capable of remarkable endurance, focus, and achievement. There is a unique power in silence. The world often rewards spectacle, noise, and visibility, but true mastery rarely announces itself. The quiet hours you spend honing your skills, cultivating your discipline, and improving your craft are not wasted simply because others do not see them. On the contrary, these moments are the foundation of lasting success. When you work in silence, you free yourself from the distraction of external approval and focus entirely on the process that builds strength, skill, and character. Consider the craftsman in his workshop, the writer at her desk before dawn, or the athlete pushing beyond exhaustion while no one watches. Their labor is unobserved, often unnoticed, yet it compounds over time into something extraordinary. Discipline grows in this unseen space where your focus is undiluted and your purpose is clear. It is in these quiet moments that you forge the habits that carry you through challenges, the resilience that sustains you in adversity, and the skills that become the hallmark of mastery. Working in silence teaches patience. Immediate feedback, recognition, or reward is rare. You cannot rely on applause to fuel your effort, because there may be none. Instead, you learn to trust in the process, to act consistently, and to persist without needing external validation. This trust transforms your work into a meditation, a rhythmic practice where effort is its own reward. You discover that discipline is most potent when it is internal, self-driven, and consistent, not performed for others, but for the person you are becoming. There is also a profound freedom in working quietly. When your efforts are unseen, you are liberated from the expectations of others. You no longer measure your progress by likes, compliments, or recognition. You no longer mold your actions to meet someone else's standard. Instead, you are guided by your own principles, motivated by your vision, and committed to your growth. This internal compass keeps you steady, even when the world seems indifferent, even when results are slow to appear. Silent work sharpens focus. Noise, both external and internal, fragments attention. By stepping away from the urge to broadcast your progress, you create space for deep concentration. Each repetition, each task, becomes deliberate. You notice nuances that were previously overlooked, refine techniques that were rough, and strengthen the foundation of your craft. Over time, this attention to detail accumulates, creating work of remarkable quality, consistency, and impact, work that ultimately speaks louder than any announcement ever could. Another gift of working quietly is resilience. When you are not motivated by applause, you develop an unwavering drive that comes from within. Challenges no longer derail you, because your focus is anchored in purpose, not external validation. You learn to endure, to push through discomfort, and to continue despite uncertainty. The quiet effort, the repeated practice, and the unseen persistence become a shield against doubt, a source of inner strength that cannot be shaken by circumstance or opinion. Even small actions gain significance in silence. The extra page written, the additional hour spent practicing, the unnoticed corrections and improvements, they all matter. Each unseen choice compounds, creating a trajectory of progress that is invisible day by day but undeniable over time. This is the beauty of working quietly. It allows you to shape your destiny with precision and patience, without the pressure of performing for an audience. Ultimately, the results of silent work are often louder than the noise of performance. By the time others notice, the foundation is already solid, the skill already honed, and the achievement already realized. You do not need to announce it, because the quality of your work carries the message. Recognition may come, but it is never the reason you act. Your satisfaction comes from mastery itself, from knowing that you showed up, applied yourself, and committed without expectation. Working in silence is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and powerful. It requires trust, patience, and focus. It transforms you into someone who creates quietly, grows consistently, and achieves with integrity. The moments unseen are not wasted. They are the engine of your success. The temptation to chase recognition is subtle but powerful. Every like, every compliment, every small acknowledgement can pull you away from the work itself, yet lasting fulfillment is never found in fleeting approval. It lies in the rhythm of effort, in the quiet satisfaction of knowing you are building skill, character, and resilience, moment by moment. When you fall in love with the process, the work itself becomes the reward, and the journey transforms from a series of obligations into a source of joy. Imagine a painter standing before a blank canvas, a musician practicing scales, or a writer shaping sentences long before anyone reads them. The results are uncertain, the recognition may never come, but the act of creation, the focus, and care invested in each stroke, note, or word carries its own meaning. You begin to see that each repetition is not a chore, but a building block in your growth, a quiet statement of your commitment to yourself. Falling in love with the process requires a shift in perspective. You stop measuring progress solely by outcomes and start valuing consistency, effort, and attention to detail. You learn to appreciate the small victories, the hour you spent practicing when motivation was low, the refinement of a skill that seemed stagnant, the patience cultivated in moments of difficulty. These moments, though often invisible, compound into profound progress over time. When the process itself becomes your reward, you are no longer at the mercy of external factors. Motivation becomes steady, not fleeting. You show up because you understand the inherent value of your effort. You practice, create, and refine because doing so aligns with your purpose, not because someone else will notice or applaud. This internal satisfaction, rooted in self-respect and dedication, builds resilience that cannot be shaken by rejection or delays. There is also freedom in embracing the process. You are liberated from comparison, from the need to match or exceed the achievements of others. When your focus is on the act of doing rather than the approval it might bring, you release the pressure to perform for an audience. This allows you to experiment, take risks, and explore without fear of judgment. Mistakes become lessons, setbacks become opportunities, and challenges become invitations to deepen your skill and understanding. Joy in the process does not mean ignoring results. It means detaching your sense of worth from them. Progress is natural, but it is not the only measure of value. You begin to find pleasure in the discipline itself, the repetition, the refinement, the sharpening of your mind and body. Each deliberate action becomes a meditation, a moment of presence where effort, focus, and intention align. The very act of working becomes a source of calm, satisfaction, and energy. This mindset also strengthens patience. When you no longer rush for recognition, you develop the endurance to see long-term projects through. You accept that mastery requires time, repetition, and dedication. You learn to trust the cumulative effect of consistent effort, knowing that what you build quietly today becomes the foundation of achievements tomorrow. There is no need to broadcast progress because the results will inevitably emerge, solid, undeniable, and reflective of the work invested. Furthermore, loving the process fosters gratitude. You become aware of the privilege of being able to work, learn, and grow. Each day of focused effort is a gift, a chance to move closer to your potential. Even when outcomes are delayed or imperfect, you find contentment in knowing that you are actively shaping your life, refining your abilities, and deepening your resilience. Gratitude reinforces motivation, creating a positive cycle where joy and effort feed one another. Ultimately, when the process is the reward, your work transforms from a means to an end into an expression of who you are. You are no longer seeking validation. You are creating, improving, and learning because it matters to you. Your satisfaction comes from showing up, applying yourself, and engaging fully in each moment. The discipline of embracing effort becomes a source of identity and pride, a quiet yet powerful engine that drives you forward without the need for external approval. By cultivating this perspective, you unlock a profound inner freedom. You find peace in persistence, joy in repetition, and meaning in every step of the journey. The work you do quietly, consistently, and wholeheartedly will ultimately speak for itself, louder and more enduring than any applause could ever be. Disappointment is an inevitable companion on the path to mastery. You pour your energy into something meaningful, and yet the response may be silence. The results may seem delayed, muted, or completely absent. Your efforts might go unnoticed, and for a moment, it feels like the universe has overlooked your dedication. This is the test, the quiet, invisible trial that shapes those who endure and discards those who rely on recognition to fuel their momentum. Endurance is not a loud or dramatic skill. It is subtle, quiet, and persistent. It is the ability to continue showing up, continuing to create, to refine, to labor even when no one is watching and no one is applauding. It is choosing the work over the acknowledgement, valuing the act itself over external affirmation. In these moments, you are training not only your skill but your character. You are practicing resilience in its purest form. Each time you face disappointment, notice your reaction. Do you feel resentment, frustration, or the urge to abandon your work? Or do you breathe through it, remind yourself of the purpose behind your effort, and continue steadily? True endurance begins in the quiet decision to persist, regardless of external outcomes. You recognize that disappointment is not a verdict on your value, but a challenge to deepen your commitment, to fortify your focus, and to trust in the process. The unseen labor is where mastery grows. Consider a writer polishing chapters that will not be read for months. A student refining skills that will only bear fruit years later, or an athlete training in solitude while others celebrate victories elsewhere. The unseen moments are not empty. They are fertile ground. Each repetition, each small improvement compounds over time, building the foundation for success that is both inevitable and deeply earned. One of the most powerful ways to endure is to reframe disappointment as feedback. Even silence teaches lessons about patience, about persistence, about where your attention truly lies. You learn what is within your control and what is not. You notice the patterns of your effort, the small victories that escape public view, and the consistent habits that will carry you through longer than any moment of applause ever could. Disappointment becomes a mirror reflecting the areas where commitment can deepen, where strategy can adjust, and where your dedication can strengthen. Maintaining perspective is essential. External recognition is fleeting, inconsistent, and often misaligned with the true value of your work. You cannot rely on it as a measure of your effort or your growth. Instead, look inward. Value the discipline, the skill, the improvement, and the integrity of your action. When you anchor your sense of progress and fulfillment internally, disappointment loses its power to derail you. You are no longer dependent on applause because you are driven by purpose, not popularity. Another layer of endurance is patience. Growth, mastery, and meaningful results often appear long after the effort is invested. You may plant seeds today and see no visible signs for months or years, yet every act of commitment nurtures that growth beneath the surface. Patience allows you to continue sowing, tending, and cultivating without immediate reward. It is trust in the cumulative effect of consistent action, the quiet knowledge that what is built steadily today will yield fruit tomorrow. Endurance also requires self-compassion. Disappointment can sting, and it is natural to feel discouraged. Yet if you dwell in self-criticism or frustration, your energy is diverted away from the work itself. Instead, acknowledge your effort, honor the time and care you invest, and remind yourself why you began. You are in the process of becoming stronger, more disciplined, and more capable, and each moment of persistence is a triumph in its own right. Resilience grows when you allow disappointment to be fuel rather than a barrier. Each time you choose to continue in the face of silence, to act without applause, you strengthen a muscle that cannot be broken by temporary setbacks. This endurance is quiet but powerful. It is steady, unwavering, and ultimately transformative. You begin to see that the worth of your work is determined not by visibility, but by your dedication, integrity, and unwavering presence. As you embrace endurance, you find a calm strength in knowing that effort itself carries intrinsic value. You cultivate patience, fortitude, and quiet confidence. You are learning to persist, refine, and progress regardless of immediate reward. In this way, disappointment becomes a companion in growth, guiding you toward a level of mastery and inner peace that cannot be shaken by recognition or its absence. The world is louder than ever. Every day, notifications ping, messages flood in, headlines scream for attention, and social media offers a constant parade of comparison. Opinions collide in every corner of the internet, each vying for your focus. It is tempting to drift, to react, to chase the immediate validation that comes with clicks, likes, or fleeting applause. Yet every time you give your attention to these distractions, the work that truly matters falls behind. Mastery requires focus, and focus requires protecting your mind as fiercely as a fortress guards its treasure. Focus is not simply a skill, it is a deliberate act of defense. You must recognize that your attention is a limited resource, and every interruption is a subtle thief. Distraction rarely announces itself loudly. It creeps in through idle scrolling, half attention, and the soft whisper of just one more. Each concession chips away at your ability to produce meaningful work. The challenge is not to eliminate the world, which is impossible, but to build boundaries that allow your mind to inhabit the space where creation, discipline, and growth flourish. Start with clarity. Before you even sit down to work, define what matters most. Your mind is most vulnerable to distraction when it is unmoored, drifting without purpose. Decide what tasks, habits, and actions truly move you closer to your goals. By naming your priorities, you create a filter through which all incoming stimuli can pass. Anything that does not align with this filter is by definition secondary. This is not neglect. It is precision. You are choosing to honor what has long-term value over what is loud but fleeting. Next, create environments that support focus. Physical space matters more than most people realize. A cluttered desk, a noisy room, or a constant stream of interruptions is not just inconvenient, it trains your mind to accept distraction as normal. Choose a space that signals work, calm, and intent. Turn off notifications. Silence non-essential devices, and communicate boundaries to those around you. Protecting your environment is a visible and symbolic act. It tells your mind that the work at hand deserves priority, that your attention is sacred, and that interruptions are to be minimized. Digital discipline is equally crucial. The tools designed to serve you, social media, email, messaging apps, often hijack your attention. It is not enough to ignore them casually. You must actively manage them. Schedule specific times to check messages or update. Use focus modes, app blockers, or simple routines that prevent constant distraction. Each time you resist the impulse to react to a notification, you strengthen a mental muscle that fuels productivity. Every act of intentional digital restraint becomes a statement. Your attention is yours to give, and you will not squander it on what does not serve your purpose. Comparison is another silent enemy. In a world where curated success is constantly displayed, it is easy to measure your progress against others. Social media is a gallery of victories, carefully framed and amplified. When you compare yourself to these images, your focus shifts from your own journey to someone else's highlight reel. This comparison steals energy, sows doubt, and undermines confidence. Instead, shift your perspective inward, track your own progress, celebrate small victories, and measure success by improvement rather than imitation. Protecting your focus means prioritizing your path over the narratives of others. Intentionality in your daily rhythm is essential. Structure your day with focus blocks, periods of deep work during which all distractions are suspended. Treat these blocks as sacred, non-negotiable sessions of creation and reflection. During these periods, immerse yourself completely in the task at hand, allowing your mind to engage fully with the process. Multitasking may feel productive, but it fragments attention and erodes depth. Endurance in focus comes from practicing immersion repeatedly, building a rhythm where concentration is natural and unforced. Even within focus, you must guard against mental drift. The mind is restless. It wanders to worries, hypotheticals, and irrelevant details. This is natural, but you can train it to return to the present. Mindfulness exercises, intentional pauses, and reflective journaling help cultivate awareness. When you notice your attention drifting, gently redirect it without judgment. Each return to focus is a reinforcement, strengthening the neural pathways of concentration. Over time, sustained attention becomes less a struggle and more a habit, a reliable companion that allows your work to flourish. Boundaries are also about relationships. Some people thrive on disruption, seeking to pull you into arguments, drama, or gossip. Protecting your focus means recognizing which interactions energize your purpose and which drain it. Communicate limits respectfully, but firmly. Decline invitations that distract from your mission. Your attention is finite, and it deserves care. By choosing relationships that support your growth and disengaging from those that diminish it, you cultivate a mental ecosystem in which your efforts can thrive. Protecting focus also means embracing boredom. In a noisy world, quiet is rare, and moments without stimulation can feel uncomfortable. Yet, these are the moments where deep thinking, insight, and creativity emerge. Resist the urge to fill every pause with noise. Allow yourself space to reflect, to plan, and to simply be. Boredom is not a void to escape. It is fertile ground for clarity. When you lean into stillness, your mind strengthens its capacity to concentrate, to observe, and to innovate. Finally, understand that focus is not about perfection. It is about consistent practice. Even with boundaries, discipline, and mindfulness, distractions will arise. You will stumble, check your phone impulsively, or entertain comparison. This is part of the process. The key is to return swiftly, to recommit to your priorities, and to remember why focus matters. Each time you recover your attention, you reinforce a habit that compounds over time, yielding extraordinary results that are impossible to achieve amidst constant distraction. The power of focus is transformative. It allows you to move from reaction to creation, from wandering to mastery. By guarding your attention against noise, comparison, and digital temptation, you claim the capacity to produce work of depth and value. This is the quiet victory that precedes recognition, the unseen, relentless dedication that builds skill, confidence, and momentum. Focus is both a shield and a tool, protecting your potential while allowing it to flourish. There is a subtle power in letting results speak for themselves. In a world that constantly demands attention, it is easy to feel pressured to broadcast every effort, every step forward, every small victory. Yet, the most profound achievements are rarely noisy. They unfold quietly, steadily, and with a depth that words cannot capture. Your task is not to convince others of your worth, but to demonstrate it through the tangible proof of your work. This is the essence of mastery. The work itself becomes your voice. Every day, you make choices that either move you closer to meaningful outcomes or distract you from them. The energy spent explaining, defending, or promoting yourself could instead be invested in skill, knowledge, and resilience. Results are built in silence, in repeated practice, in the moments where no one is watching. Each small, deliberate action compounds, eventually forming a body of work that cannot be ignored. When you prioritize the doing over the telling, your results gain authenticity, weight, and credibility. Think of it as planting seeds in a garden. You do not stand in the sunlight shouting that you planted seeds. You water them, tend to them, and nurture them through the seasons. The growth itself becomes undeniable. Flowers bloom, fruit appears, and the garden stands as evidence of your care, discipline, and persistence. Similarly, your actions and results are the living proof of your effort, requiring no further explanation. People recognize dedication naturally because tangible outcomes are unmistakable. Self-promotion can feel necessary in moments of impatience, when validation is sought like a quick reward. But relying on announcements, explanations, or social signals creates dependency on external recognition. Your energy becomes fragmented, tied to the approval of others, rather than anchored in your own progress. Instead, anchor yourself in results. Let them be the proof, the evidence, and the story of your capabilities. Speak less, do more. The quiet consistency of action carries more influence than any declaration of intent ever could. Trust the process. Results are rarely immediate. They follow the accumulation of effort, discipline, and focus. In your journey, patience is an essential ally. Each step forward, even if unseen, strengthens your skill, your understanding, and your capacity. Every disciplined repetition, every moment of focus, every deliberate choice builds the foundation for results that, when they arrive, are undeniable. You do not need to shout because the work has already done the talking. Results are also a shield against doubt. When challenges arise, when criticism surfaces, and when the world questions your progress, your outcomes provide clarity. They are tangible reminders of what is possible through persistence and focus. This is why comparing yourself to others or seeking external approval is often futile. True achievement is objective, and results do not lie. Your growth, measured by what you accomplish and how you evolve, is the ultimate validation. A commitment to letting results speak also cultivates humility. You acknowledge that your work is your contribution, not a performance for applause. You focus on the quality, depth, and impact of what you create, rather than the appearance of activity. This mindset fosters a steady, deliberate rhythm of effort, freeing you from the constant anxiety of being seen or recognized. In this way, your results become both proof and a quiet declaration of integrity that your efforts are meaningful and real. Remember, the most enduring achievements rarely come from spectacle. They come from repeated, focused effort, from dedication even when unnoticed. and from the decision to let your actions define your narrative. Words may be fleeting, opinions change, and applause fades. Results endure. They are the evidence you cannot fabricate, the impact that cannot be ignored, and the legacy built through patient, deliberate work. True confidence does not roar. It does not depend on applause, approval, or the nod of those around you. Quiet confidence is a steady flame that burns within, fed by your knowledge of your abilities and the trust you place in your own journey. This is the essence of self-mastery, the ability to act with clarity, focus, and resolve, regardless of external recognition. When you cultivate this quiet confidence, the need for validation fades, leaving you free to perform, to create, and to grow for the sake of growth itself. You have likely felt the weight of seeking approval. Every glance, every comment, every metric of attention can influence your energy. It is exhausting, dispersing focus that could otherwise be applied to honing your craft, expanding your knowledge, or building habits that truly matter. Self-mastery is the antidote. When you learn to value your own assessment over external judgment, you reclaim that energy. You invest it where it counts, into your work, your practice, and your personal evolution. Building this kind of confidence begins with a simple yet profound decision: to trust yourself. Trust the hours you dedicate, the choices you make, and the path you are walking. There will be moments of doubt, as there always are, but confidence is not the absence of doubt. It is the choice to act in spite of it. When you consistently follow through on your commitments, you create evidence of your capability. This evidence is internal. It does not require someone else's observation. You begin to see your own progress, feel your own growth, and recognize your own resilience. Discipline is the companion of quiet confidence. Every act of consistency, waking up early, showing up for practice, completing tasks even when uninspired, builds trust in yourself. This trust is the foundation of unshakable self-belief. When your actions align with your intentions day after day, your confidence is not a fragile construct based on external factors. It is rooted in reality, in what you have done, and what you are capable of doing. This reality does not lie, and it does not waver. Another key aspect is detachment from others' perceptions. People will always have opinions, and those opinions are not yours to control. When your focus shifts from being seen to being competent, from being praised to being proficient, you step out of the cycle of comparison. You are no longer a performer seeking applause. You are a practitioner seeking mastery. This shift is liberating. It allows you to concentrate on what truly matters: growth, learning, and the refinement of your abilities, rather than the fleeting impressions of those around you. Self-mastery also requires self-compassion. Confidence is not arrogance, and mastery is not perfection. There will be mistakes, setbacks, and moments of failure. What matters is the response. Quiet confidence thrives when you can acknowledge shortcomings without judgment and use them as fuel for improvement. Each error becomes a lesson, each obstacle a test of resolve. You learn to listen to yourself, to understand your limits, and to expand them gently, steadily, and purposefully. The most powerful demonstration of quiet confidence is in your actions, not your words. When you work diligently, consistently, and with integrity, the results speak for themselves. Others may notice, they may not, but your satisfaction and assurance are not dependent on recognition. You begin to operate from a place of internal authority, guided by your values and your standards, rather than by external expectations. This is freedom, the freedom to pursue excellence on your own terms, to define success by your own criteria, and to experience fulfillment from within. With time, you notice a profound shift. The need to explain, justify, or promote yourself diminishes. You move through the world with a calm certainty, unshaken by criticism or indifference. Your energy is protected, your focus sharpened, and your purpose clarified. Quiet confidence allows you to act with power, without the noise of seeking approval, and to build a life of achievement grounded in your own self-belief. You have arrived at a place where the clamor of recognition no longer dictates your action. The applause, the praise, the visible markers of achievement, they are optional now, not essential. Living beyond the applause means that your satisfaction, your joy, and your purpose come from within, from the alignment between your actions and your values. When you step into this space, you are free. Free from comparison, free from validation seeking, free to devote your energy to what truly matters. The world will always offer distractions. It will always provide a mirror of judgment, a chorus of opinions, and a stage that demands attention. But you have learned that mastery is quiet, that discipline is steady, and that real transformation happens away from the crowd. Your efforts are no longer performance. They are practice, growth, and commit. Every day, every decision, and every moment becomes an opportunity to reinforce your internal standards, not someone else's expectations. Living beyond the applause requires an unwavering focus on the process. You have seen the futility of chasing fleeting recognition, the way it drains your energy and fractures your concentration. Instead, you shift your perspective. The process itself is where fulfillment lives. When you measure your days by the effort you put in, by the integrity with which you execute your plans, you discover a deep and abiding sense of satisfaction. Each small step forward is evidence that you are moving in the right direction, whether anyone notices or not. To cultivate this life, you must embrace patience. Results do not always arrive when expected. Milestones are often invisible until they materialize, and progress is frequently hidden beneath the surface. Yet the act of showing up consistently, regardless of immediate outcomes, is itself transformative. Your skills sharpen, your mindset strengthens, and your resilience solidifies. The quiet accumulation of effort compounds, revealing results that are undeniable, lasting, and fully yours. Another essential aspect of living beyond the applause is self-trust. Trusting yourself is not about arrogance or certainty. It is about relying on your capacity to navigate challenges, adapt, and grow. When external validation loses its power over you, you no longer act to impress or appease. You act because it aligns with your purpose, because it is what must be done, because it represents the highest version of yourself in that moment. This self-trust becomes your compass, guiding you steadily through uncertainty, doubt, and distraction. There will still be moments of doubt, days when the world seems indifferent, and times when effort feels invisible. But you have learned the secret. The value of your work is inherent. Its worth does not require an audience. Each deliberate action, each act of discipline, and each decision to rise above inertia is proof of your own capability. You have internalized that fulfillment is not a reflection in someone else's eyes. It is a quiet, unshakable certainty that you are building something meaningful, both within and beyond yourself. Living beyond the applause also means embracing a deep sense of responsibility. The life you are crafting is not about superficial accolades or transient approval. It is about creating impact, contributing value, and leaving a mark that aligns with your principles. Every action becomes intentional, every commitment purposeful. You approach challenges with courage, knowing that your motivation is not contingent upon external recognition, but rooted in integrity and dedication. This perspective is liberating. It allows you to take risks, to innovate, and to persevere without hesitation or fear of judgment. In this life, you also cultivate gratitude for the journey, the quiet hours of effort, the unseen sacrifices, and the private victories all contribute to the fullness of your growth. You recognize that applause, while pleasant, is neither necessary nor defining. Your satisfaction emerges from knowing that you have acted in alignment with your values, pursued excellence in your craft, and nurtured your own evolution. You begin to measure success by the depth of your presence, the consistency of your effort, and the impact of your choices. Ultimately, living beyond the applause is about harmony between effort and intention, ambition and patience, action and reflection. You move through the world with confidence that does not seek affirmation, joy that does not depend on recognition, and purpose that does not require external validation. Your life becomes a testament to the power of steady effort, self-trust, and dedication to the process itself. In this space, you are free to flourish in your own right, without distraction, without compromise, and without the need to justify your worth to anyone else.